Vasantasena and her Malkavian sire, Unmada, traveled the world throughout the Middle Ages preaching against the blood bond. They rejected the vinculum, traditional kindred hierarchy, and all loss of free will. Ultimately, they condemned the Antediluvians for their cruel tyranny through Jyhad, joining the Sabbat during its formation. As the Camarilla had, the Sabbat rejected her cause, instituting both hierarchy and ritual enslavement through vitae. She eventually rejected them in turn, assembling a faction of Malkavians to embrace freedom from the Sabbat. Vasantasena's descendants are many and varied, and all of them follow her from the Sabbat before the sect's recent bestial devolution. Some joined the Camarilla, others the Anarchs. All possess the zeal and charm she wields like a knife. All fight for something. Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our World of Darkness, where tonight we are doing the Descendant of Vasantasena Loresheet. I love this character, and I hate her name so freaking much. Saying this name is so difficult. I'm getting better at it. Vasantasena. It's coming out now. But like while I'm reading these things, I'm getting tongue-tied. Oh my god, this woman's name is so hard. Anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look to see what this individual who hates the blood bond gives her descendants in the lore sheet. Investing 1 dot into this lore sheet gets you Agent of Chaos. You thrive while everything around you burns or spins into catastrophe. In turbulent situations, such as an unusually chaotic or unpredictable combat, a car chase through a crowded city, or when fleeing an exploding building. Once per session, you may re-roll a single die without spending a willpower. So at 1 dot, you get 1 die that you can re-roll without spending willpower. That's actually pretty damn useful, considering how many times I've run stories where the only thing standing between success and failure is literally a single success. This is definitely something to use before or possibly then after utilizing that willpower to get that reroll. Investing 2 dots in this lore sheet gets you Hear My Words. You carry your ancestors' skills of persuasion. Finding your voice speaks to the blood of others before it reaches their minds. Once per story, if you attempt to counsel others in a chaotic environment, and they actually stop to listen, they may reroll 1 dice pool in 1 future test during the same situation. So this one basically lets you cast inspiration like you would in like D&D or Pathfinder or something on people, allowing them to reroll in specific situations. I think that's very useful, that you can bring that type of inspiration to players in a situation. Investing 3 dots into this lore sheet gets you Scent the Bond. Vasantasena's loathing of blood bonds was part of the reason she targeted the Antediluvians and the ties they maintained with their offspring. Such was her power that she could smell the bond on individual vampires and recognize the same odor on the vampire bonded to or bonding them. Once per story, on a successful resolve plus awareness test at a difficulty of 4, you can do the same. So at a difficulty of 4, once per story, you can smell the link between 2 kindred through the blood bond. I love this mechanic, and I'm glad this actually carried over into the LARP situation as well, but I really do like the fact that once per story you just go, I don't like the situation that's going on here. That could come up with some very interesting tensing situations. Investing 4 dots into this lore sheet gets you Destroy the Bond. Vasantasena's greatest act is the destruction of the blood bond. Some say she performed this act many times in recent years among the Sabbat, in part leading to their rapid degeneration. Once per story, you can remove the blood bond imposed on a victim if you drink a mouthful of the thrall's vitae and then ride out a frenzy. This is such an interesting ritual that you do. So basically, you find somebody who's bloodbound, you drink a mouthful of their blood, a rouse check's worth, and then you frenzy. You ride out that frenzy, and you effectively fight with their beast to unhold that bond. I really like the applications of this. And also, you need to take precautions. You really do, because you have to completely ride out this frenzy. You can't cheat your way through it. Investing 5 dots in this lore sheet gets you Sabbat becomes Camarilla. Vasantasena achieved the impossible and showed her descendants how it was done. Alien, inhuman philosophies locked most vampires into the Sabbat. Once per story, you can deprogram a vampire from their sect beliefs. To do so, you must completely isolate the subject and make an extended test of either intelligence or charisma plus insight in an atmosphere of specialized perfumes. Roll once per 3 nights of disputation. You win after achieving a number of successes equal to twice the subject's willpower. I don't think I really care for the name of this. Sabbat becomes Camarilla. Vasantasena wasn't Camarilla. I get the idea. But the idea that you can, in a room filled with the proper incense, effectively, spend time to completely deprogram the mind washing that the Sabbat does to its members, letting them think for themselves and not be held under the mental slavery of a path of enlightenment. I like it, and it really does seem like this might be something that has happened recently. A lot, considering all of the Lasombra that now belong to the Camarilla and all the Zemiti that belong to the Anarchs and vice versa. Like, there is definitely a chance that this ability has gotten around and done some massive changing in the kindred who belonged, or the Cainites who belonged to the Sword of Cain. So anyway, the Descendants of Vasantasena. This is one of those lore sheets that's just, it's interesting, and it definitely changes the whole mindset of a game once it's in use. You could very well make enemies from the Sabbat into allies with this lore sheet. You can break blood bonds. You can talk people into seeing things your way on a better standpoint. Like, there's so many different applications of this lore sheet, and I've utilized it as background story, but nobody's ever actually taken it in one of my games before. Anyway, thank you for joining me as we go through the lore sheets that are found within the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition core book. And I am very excited to see you in the next one. Good evening.